Hello and welcome, influencers. Hello and welcome to another amazing episode with real, raw conversations to motivate and support leaders in the marketplace. It's your girl here, Anika Cohen. Welcome to Behind the Screen Business Confessions. I am super excited about today's episode. Number one being that this is our last episode for our first season. Come on. Listen, that is a win. It's a win because I seen it through. We have aired a full episode, a full season. I'm sorry, a full season. Our first season, we're having 12 episodes where they have launched, they have been successful. People have tuned in, given us great feedback, had great conversation. We're making a difference and we're making an impact. And that was the intention. So this is exciting. I'm super excited that we are ending our first season on a good note. So welcome to Behind the Screen Business Confessions podcast. Listen, if you are not already following us, follow. If you are not connected with us on our YouTube channel and subscribe, be a part of the community here because we choose to live. We choose to be liberated, improve daily, be vivacious and enlightened. Welcome. Listen, we're talking about image versus image. Let's talk about that, right? This is everything to do with your online presence versus who you really are. Come on, let's talk about that. So your image versus image, what you portray online isn't in alignment with who you really are, isn't in alignment with your identity, who God has created it and called you to be. Y'all heard my opinion when it comes to who you are. Who you are has nothing to do with your title, with your position. It has everything to do with who you are as a person, as a being, right? I'm witty, I'm confident, I'm goofy, I'm intelligent, I'm beautiful. Come on here. That has nothing to do with my position. It has nothing to do with my title. Yes, I'm a minister. Yes, I'm a business strategist coach. These are things that I do. This is a position that I hold in the marketplace, in ministry. Come on here, somebody. So I don't want us to get caught up and consumed and lose our identity on this journey in the marketplace, especially those of us who are faith-based. I am considered a faith-based entrepreneur because of my belief, right? And so image versus image, your online presence versus who you are. Let's talk about that in the marketplace, because what I'm finding to be true is that it's easy to lose sight of your identity. It's easy to lose sight of who you are because of what you see online. And what happens, if we can just talk about it, is we become in a competition. We begin to compete, we begin to compare, and it's not out of jealousy, it's out of what we see. And I'm a firm believer, if we can just learn to be more transparent on the journey and not just share the wins, not just share what success looks like according to society, but to share your journey, to share your experience. That includes the lessons learned, the teachable moments, the behind the screen. And it gives people insight to who you really are. Because sometimes when we get caught up in the title, in the position, we're more reserved. And it's okay. There's a time and a place for everything, right? You're in business to grow business and to grow your business, right? To be profitable. And those things are true. However, when you lose sight of your identity, when you lose sight of who you are, and you're so caught up and consumed with what you portray online, you've lost sight of who you are. This is the image versus image. And we all go through this at some point in life, especially when you are growing your business and your brand. And I want to talk about that from my experience. I want to bring you into my world, right? And share, because I know that I can't be alone. I know that I can't be the only one who has experiences. And with me working with my clients, I often recognize it. And when I do, it's voice. And we talk about that because it's a real thing. Success looks like high ceilings, 6 and 7 figures. It looks like big houses and condos and traveling all over the world. That is a part of what you would like your life to be like. But that is not success. Success is every day that you are intentional with making a difference and making an impact, and you are accomplishing your goals. You are striving and thriving and working towards accomplishing your goals. So every goal that you accomplish is success. Come on here, somebody. I got to say it again. With every accomplished goal is success. So the very thought, the very idea, and you gave action and you were committed to that plan, you've seen it through, is success. You brought the home. You got a promotion on your job, success. You got a promotion in your revenue, success. You wrote the book, success. You started the podcast, success. You completed your first season, success. But we overlook the things that we accomplished according to our goals when it comes to this online presence, when it comes to this social media. Some of us, it has snatched your identity. Take it back. And I speak from experience because I have gotten a lot of criticism for who I am. Not as the business strategist coach, not as a woman of God, as a believer of Jesus Christ. No, I've gotten criticism because of who I am. I'll break that down. I love to dance. I love to listen to different genres of music. I also believe in spiritual principles and practical elements. I believe they work together in order for us to live the abundant life that God talks about, right? So there's a lot of criticism there with who I am and how I show up. Right. And I want to talk about that because as long as it represents your message, as long as it represents your brand, you should be comfortable with how you show up. It's an extension of who you are. So you might as well show up authentically, organically as who you are so people can fall in love with you and not your image. So people can fall in love with you and not your image. There is more to you than the title. And allow people into your world and allow them to fall in love with who you are. Right? And so I want to just leave you with these 3 principles to think about as you show up online and you are sharing your message, you are sharing your story, you're sharing your amazing products and services. Don't lose your identity because that's an extension of who you are. Not your position. Come on here, somebody. So I want you to begin to think about, what do you represent? What's the message that you convey? And how does it relate to your brand? Those are the 3 things that I want you to begin to think about as you move forward, as you pursue purpose, as you live out your God calling and assignment, as you take a hold of your life and you begin to create the narrative, right? What do you represent? I represent confidence. I represent being content with who I am as I grow. I represent obedience to the calling that's on my life. I represent freedom in my mind. What do you represent? And all the things that I represent, my brand is an extension of that. Choose to Live Enterprises is an extension of that. Every product that I serve represents confidence. It represents freedom. It represents obedience to your calling, creating your own narrative, confidence, being bold and courageous. That's what I represent. What do you represent? What's the message that you convey? Hey, all the time you hear me say it, right? Choose to live. That's the message. Choose to live. Choose to be liberated. Improve daily. Be vivacious and enlightened. Choose to show up and show out. Choose to go after and pursue the calling on your life unapologetically. Follow a system. Embrace your journey. Embrace your path. That is the message. Start, build, and grow your legacy. Choose to live. That is the message that I convey every day online. It connects with who I really am because, you know, some of you may not know, but I wasn't always the woman that I am today. There was a woman who was held at gunpoint. Two masked gunmen entered her home and held her at gunpoint while her 3 and her 4-year-old son were in the next room. This was a woman who sold and used drugs. This was a woman who was diagnosed with lymphoma cancer. My God. And I had to learn to bring my audience into my journey, into my world, the good and bad and everything in between. So what's the message that you convey to your audience, to the people that resonate and connect with what it is that you do and you represent? And how does it relate to the brand? How does it relate to the brand? It relates to the brand because I am the brand. Everything that I teach, everything that I provide is an extension of Anika because it's been a part of the journey. Me starting my business, right? Me starting this brand, starting to sell my products and my services, being in a position of a coach, an expert, sharing my knowledge and expertise has been everything from what I've gone through, trial and error. So it relates to my brand because I'm able to teach them what I've learned from my own experience and share with them how they can do the exact same thing. So what do you represent? What's the message? How does it relate to your brand? And those 3 things will always position you to show up as who you are. And don't allow the criticism and the opinions and the judgments of others to hold you back. Because what I refer to them as is barriers. Those are barriers that get in the way. Those are barriers that get in our way. We're human, so our emotions are natural. Learn to acknowledge your emotions. They are natural. We have to have emotions to be able to express our feelings, our thoughts. So those barriers that get in the way, oftentimes, number one, has everything to do with the audience. Remember, I talked about that comparison online. It's great to have someone to look up to, someone to admire. And that's great. That's motivation. That inspires me every day. I have leaders that I look up to, that I admire, that I desire to be in that position to have the revenue stream. Right? Right? But not that I want to be them, but some of the things that they have accomplished, I desire to do the same. That's a good perspective to have. However, when I'm constantly now obsessing, and it's now taking a step further to where I idolize that leader, now we have crossed over to that being a barrier. I've now idolized them. So Not is it that I admire them anymore. I want exactly what they got. And what if it's not yours to have? Because they had to encounter some things, some heartache, some pain. Their journey has had to have some heartache in it. You already got enough heartache in your life, so why do you want what's theirs? And so when I talk about the audience, they have built their audience. They have put in the work to build their audience. Embrace the audience that you have as you build your audience. You are always going to be building and growing your audience. So put on a different perspective. You are growing your audience. You are building your audience every day that you share your message, every day that you share your products and your services. You're sharing amazing content, right? You're positioning yourself to be relatable. So your audience, regardless of size, will grow. I don't care if you have 4 consistent clients, embrace them and serve them as if you had thousands. And that's where we mess up. Because, oh, I want the 10K following. Just because you have 10K followers doesn't mean those individuals are all doing business with you. So we have to learn to serve who is connected, who is invested. Serve them with all of your being as you grow and as you build your audience. Don't allow it to consume you with the size of your audience to say you don't have the same abilities as as the person you admire. Making sense? These are the conversations I think we should have more of to help us release and relinquish and say it's okay that I may have had that thought. I may have been in that position, but now I have a better way of looking at this situation. I can still admire, I can still have that desire to accomplish the things that they have accomplished without idolizing them and without comparing their success to mine to say that I'm not successful. You are successful with every accomplished goal. And as you work to pursue the other goals that you have in mind, remember, you are building and you are growing your audience. Another barrier, budget. Again, start where you are and learn to embrace it. Everybody has a budget. And some leaders that we admire, they may have a elaborate budget. They may have more, again, revenue and profit to be able to do things that you may not be able to do right now. It doesn't mean that it won't come to pass. So what's happening is we see this amazing event and I want that event just like that. But because I can't fulfill it like that right now, I'm not going to do it at all. What if only 5 people show up? Embrace your 5 people that made a commitment and invested their time and their money to be with you. Serve them as if 100 guests arrived. And when you continue to make that impact in those 5 guests will manifest to 500. Just keep putting in the work. Keep being consistent and serving the audience that is connected with you and your message. The minute you allow yourself to get consumed with the audience size, you've lost already, because most times we can't get beyond what we see. And we don't want to share it on social media because, oh, I'm going to look like a failure. Based on whose opinion? Yours or online? Again, that image versus image. That online presence has nothing to do with who you are and what you represent, the message that you convey to your audience, what's relatable to them. Come on here, somebody. So you have a budget. Embrace your budget and begin to build and grow your budget as you build and grow your audience. Another barrier, time frame. Listen, I've been in business for 8 years, going on 8 years in May, actually. Okay, I've been in business since 2015. Published my first memoir, Diaries of an Anika Lady. Became an author, a published author, #1 bestseller, and the journey has continued to grow. No, I haven't made six figures, if that's what you're asking me. No, I haven't. Am I successful? Yes. I'm meeting my revenue goals. I'm being consistent with the audience that I have. Why? Because I embrace them. I acknowledge them. I serve them as if I'm serving the 5,000 or the 500,000 that I desire. Until then, I'll position myself to be ready for that audience. Sometimes we have to ask ourselves, am I even ready for that audience? Am I ready for that size? Do I have things in position to be able to function effectively and smoothly in my business at that capacity? So, even are you ready for that? And you may not be ready for that right now as you continue to build and grow. So, that's a real thing. And most times we don't give ourselves permission to ask the hard questions. Am I even ready for that size of an audience to serve them with the way my business is functioning now? Is there things that I need to improve and work out the kinks in with just simple things like transactions, follow up, follow through? So Eve, ask yourself, am I in the position to serve at the magnitude that I desire, that I desperately want? Are you even ready for that? Right? Because time frame is a real thing. That admirer, that person that you admire, they've been in business 20 years. Not to say that someone that's been in business for 5 years can't reach the success level that they have, meaning accomplishing the goals that you desire, right? So if you desire to make six figures, if you desire to, whatever your desires are, and you're accomplishing those goals, think about it. Their time frame, your journey is two different journeys. And it is real when we get caught up and consumed with the comparison. We're not taking into account their timeline. They've had a lot of years to get their processes, their systems in order to build their audience, right? To grow their audience. You're always going to be building and growing your audience. That's something that's ongoing in business. Branding and marketing, right? It's ongoing. You're always branding the message, the story, the product, right? You're always marketing what it is that you have to offer. So you're going to constantly be in front of new audiences and making new connections. So let's just relinquish those barriers. Again, your audience, the budget, the timeline are major barriers that hold us back based on perspective. Change your perspective and you'll change your life. Everything that you do has to do with how you think. And how you think is based on your experiences in life. Listen, I'm a counselor by trade, right? That is my calling. That is my gift. And I've learned through my own experiences, right? So I want you to do two things as we close out our last episode in our first season, right? I want you to be transparent. It takes vulnerability to be transparent because you're going to begin to be intentional about sharing your journey behind the screen. Take people on the journey, the good, the bad, and in between. Allow them to see you as a human being. You are human. You're not perfect. Every day that you wake up is not a good day. You'll be a liar if you said that. Every day you feel good. You feel good all the time. No, you do not. And when you share those transparent moments, share it with a message. Share it from the experience of this is what I've gone through, this is what I've learned, and I would like to share that experience with you. Here's what you can do. Here was my takeaway from that experience. Here's what I've learned. Come on here, somebody. Be transparent and vulnerable. Allow people to fall in love with who you are versus your online presence. So it takes everything to be vulnerable. That takes courage. That takes boldness. Takes a risk, right? I believe in transparency. I don't want people to fall in love with my online presence. I want them to fall in love with who I am. The business strategist coach, the minister, the mother, the daughter, the aunt, okay? The TikToker, all right? I want you to fall in love with every aspect of who I am because this is who I am. When you do business with Choose to Live Enterprises, you're doing business with Anika, who is witty, who is fun, who is goofy by nature. And I love to share every extension of who I am because there's a time and a place. I know when I show up on assignment, I'm showing up to serve. It's not about me or what I got going on at home. I leave it at the door. Right? Because all of my experiences have shaped the woman that I am today and becoming. I'm always becoming greater because I allow myself to be open to that. And that's what I want to leave you with. The second point is to be open. Be transparent and be open. What do I mean by that? Don't fight to be right. This is not about your ego. This is not about pride. Release it because it doesn't serve you or the vision anyway. I've been saying that for a very long time, right? Be open. Don't fight to be right. Don't try to prove your point. Because when people say I'm trying to prove a point, what that really means is you didn't believe in it anyway. That's my take on it. You didn't believe in it anyway, whatever the it is. Whatever you got to prove, you didn't believe in it anyway if you got to prove that it was right. Don't fight to be right. Allow your results to speak for you. Hey, glory to God. Apostle Roach just said that yesterday at Sabbath service, and oh, did we have a time. We had a time. God showed up and showed out. And the message was, I am the it factor. I am the answer. Because I am. What gives me the right to say that? My experience. Come on here, somebody. My experience. The fact that I have overcome. That's results. So be open to a different perspective, to a new way of thinking. Be open to feedback that will grow you. Don't fight to be right. Don't fight to be right. All right, influencers. All right. Listen, I love this episode. This was a really good episode. You know, image versus image. I want to know what you thought about the episode. What's your takeaway, right? I want to know, how does it relate to you? Have you experienced this before? Or this is something that you are experiencing now and you're able to now have a different perspective, a different way of looking at this, right? Because it is a real thing. So choose to live. Listen, subscribe and follow. Let us know, again, your takeaway from this episode. This has been season 1 complete. So we're starting season 2 next week. I'm excited. We got some great guests lined up to be a part of this show. I am excited about our guests coming on again and sharing their experience, their knowledge, their expertise, right? From behind the screen. So choose to live, influencers. Choose to live. Choose to be liberated, improve daily, be vivacious, and enlightened. Until next time.